under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no recognition of visitors here. So that was at 5:32. Budget presentation?
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and jump into it here. We got a good amount to cover, and so for those of you that have been on the board here for a few years, it's a little bit similar presentation as before. You're going to see similar numbers because the budget didn't change a whole lot from last year to this year. And then for David, just being your second one, and then Laura, this is, you guys, anytime you got questions, just stop and ask. But we're going to go ahead and jump into it here. ADM, so your average daily membership, it's your student count used to determine the amount of funding for the education fund. This basic grant funding is the main source of revenue for the education fund, and NJSP School Corporation student count has been declining over the last 20 years. So that's not just at NJSP, that is everywhere. You'll see here in a second, we've been actually fortunate enough the last few years, where we had a slight uptick, but we've been staying above 900. So us here at NJSP, even though we've been declining, we've been fortunate with where we've been sitting. So you can kind of see, it's a little harder to see up there, but it is in your packet there. I took it all the way back to 2016-17 when we were well over 1,000 students, but then you just see the slight decrease kind of over a 2-year span there is kind of what I have. You can see, like I said, last 2 years here, we've been pretty good. We increased from 2022-2023 school year, about 10 kids, but then we've kind of held steady the last 2 years at that 918, 917 range. So that's really good. We are nowhere near having a count for this year. Obviously school starts tomorrow. Yep. We'll know more after August, and then know more at the end of September. Everything has to be finalized by October. So
we have a rough count.
I can tell you that we've crept up to 73 kindergartners, so that is very good.
Yeah. I mean,
compared to the expectation being, I was hoping we'd be over 60. It's still, we have some classes in the system, some grade levels that are over 80, but we've had some classes trend down less than 70. So we're at 73 kindergartens. We've got some new faces in the kindergarten.
Yep.
So it's good.
And from the way it sounds like with Mr. Orcus and Mrs. Radke, that they've been seeing more kids, come through online and stuff. We have more freshmen. We had to get a few more laptops for more freshmen. So good signs to come. So hopefully, the goal is we still stay above that 900. And if we're staying above 900, I think we call that a win.
Yeah.
So now the education fund. So for the 2027 budget, proposing a budget of $9,350,000. The current 26 budget is $8,750,000. So you can see about a $600,000 increase there. And you're going to see this trend with all the other funds, especially operations too, mainly operations. But the uptick, the increase, is mainly because of inflation. Things increase. Salaries, your education staff, anybody that deals with students is paid out of the education fund. That's where you can think of salary-wise. Anybody that deals directly with students, teachers, aides, etc., they're paid from education. Anybody that is not, then they're paid out of operations. And then even though we're a few years into this, but reopening the middle school, it just adds cost to it, because you have to account for some other things, a couple more salaries added. So you kind of see that uptick, a little bit of that 600,000 is kind of due to that. And then you always got to take into consideration that student count, whether it's going to hold steady, dip a little bit, or not, so. Because each student is, you know, basically equivalent to $80,000, so give or take a little bit depending on the state's equation. So then, we talked a little bit about this in the last meeting, and we've talked about it a little bit this year, but transfer of funds. So, again, I'm proposing the same thing that proposed in 2026, and the last couple of years we've done this, but in 2027, we will transfer up to $1 million from education to operation, and we state up to in case we don't need to transfer $1 million or choose to transfer 500,000 or transfer none at all. So just like this year, we're kind of trending in the direction of we're going to see what we want to transfer, what I feel comfortable with transferring towards the end of the year. Might end up being the full $1 million. Might be half of that, might be nothing at all, just because I don't want to take money from education, because education is the one that's getting cut funding, when operations can kind of handle itself right now. So it's not fully necessary, but we still have a whole second half of the year to go, so, and it's good. Go ahead.
Do we know what the impact was of the cut to us?
We were looking at, from what we saw, over a 3-year span, and it's gonna change, because it always does, but we were looking at probably like 400,000 to 500,000.
A year
Total.
Over the 3 years.
Over 3 years, yeah.
So
it's
really,
not,
so what we have in our current budget, we would
right,
have been able to eat it no matter what.
yes, yeah, like we thankfully were not impacted as much as some of the other schools. There were larger schools in South Bend and the smaller or bigger areas that were impacted substantially, but we still have to take that into consideration. And again, like I said, it could change.
As a side note, there are 38 school corporations that have
Seen that.
filed to do a referendum in November.
Yeah.
So,
Because of that cut?
yeah, because of those property tax, the whole property tax law change, really, for a decade, there's never been more than 7 or 8 school systems in any election cycle, typically, and there's 38. There was people projecting there could have been as many as 100, but the actual number right now is 38.
Yeah, and thankfully for us here, you know, we're not near that. So with what we have in cash balance, our budget, and everything else, we're okay. So that's the important thing.
How does it look? So we're good years 1 through 3. How do we look if we start trending into, with inflation and everything, how do we look trending into year 4 through, like, say, 7?
I mean, it's all dependent really on student count. And so, I mean, again, if we're seeing, you know, I know you go back to Dr. Boyd's study, and what year was that? He thought we would be trending around 850 students.
Yeah, about a dozen years ago, the projection was we'd be as low as 750.
For you guys, you can only transfer from education to operations. You can't transfer back from operations to education. So that's why they allow, and you're only allowed to transfer up to 15% of your budget and what basic grant gets. So that's why I always keep it at $1 million, because one, it's just round number and it's easier for us to do. And because we could transfer up to like 1.1 million, 100, when I did the math one time, it was like 15,000. It was a very, very odd number, but just to keep it at $1 million, to know, okay, that's what we're doing. In the past, we've done 2 transfers of 500,000, one in June, one in December. I started doing 10 transfers starting in March, each of $100,000, just so it kept the financials like this instead of going up, back down, and then up. So until this year, when again didn't feel like we needed to, so still looking at that, and then we'll do it the same way again next year. We could start it in March and do the 100,000s like we did before, or not transfer at all until later in the year, so. Okay, so for 2027, the proposed budget for operations is 5.1 million. And the 2026 operations fund budget is 4,850,000. So think of it as we have one account at the bank and all the money is in one pot. And so that's our cash balance sitting here. And that's what the interest is getting drawn
off of this total. Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Yep.
That's,
So like you
I'm
can't,
curious if it would mess with it with taking that million out of education,
no,
or if we left it in there if we were gonna lose.
Yeah, you're only transferring, the transfer, you think of it as only from a financial
On the-
system side.
Sorry, okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
they probably laugh at me at the bank when I, take a check from us, and just putting it in, it's like, what are you doing? It's just going in
Yeah,
and
it's
out.
a paperwork exercise.
Right, but it's all budget and going into next year. Roof repairs, I did lower some, that was a lower, just because talking with Nick and everything, we don't really suspect any kind of larger roof repairs. Bus replacement plan, again, then operations. So bus replacement plan portion of the operations fund being budgeted for 3 buses, for a cost of $450,000. Buses continue to increase in cost. It's just, and then so next year we're kind of slated to get 3 72 passenger buses or 78s, whatever we want.
So if things got crazy, this could be an area where we could reduce.
We could skate.
Okay. Because
We could look for the right spot, check, have Jim identify and say, here would be a good spot if we needed to,
Right.
skate through.
I only bring that up because it seems like we have quite a few spares that sit around, so that's why.
Right.
And not that that's a bad thing, I'm just saying.
Right.
If there was something where we needed to pull some money from.
Yeah, that's kind of a spot we keep in reserve in the back.
Yeah, and when it comes up every year, I mean, we're constantly, I'm talking to Jim and we're just kind of looking at what we can do or what we need more of. I mean, I tell you guys every year we could use 100 MPVs.
Right.
I mean, that's always the case. I'm gonna tell you the same thing next year because that's just what it is. The MPVs between shuttles, between special runs, between athletics are used nonstop.
As a matter of fact, it's just, if you're growing offerings and pathways, you're growing inefficiencies.
Right.
So we've got to get 2 kids to Knox to catch a bus back to Plymouth. And they've got to catch, because of the Eastern time, we've got to get them there at 6:50. So we're probably gonna send an MPV, grab 2 kids, get them there at 6:45 to make sure they catch the connecting flight to Plymouth.
Yeah.
And then when they get back to Knox,
Every year, just because even though it's expensive, it saves us in the long run.
Right.
To Cameron's point about having, spares, Jim has his trusty spares that he keeps and the ones that he knows, because we're gonna have breakdowns and it just happens. Jim spends all summer getting all the buses ready and everything, making sure they're all fixed up, but we still have breakdowns, so. Any more questions on the buses and everything? Okay, we'll jump into debt. The debt service fund is proposed at the same amount as it was last year. So we still have, as you can see up there, we still have our lease rental 21, and that was for the elementary project that we did back in 2020. So we'll have that for a while. 2037 is when that gets paid off. And then for those of you that were here, we got the general obligation bond, so the GOB 24 recently. So those are the 2 payments that we're paying out of debt. We're going to continue to have those for a little while. The GO bond 24 is about 7 years, so we're a couple years in of that now. And those payments fluctuate, they change, and so that's just how it was being the same as last year. It might go down a little bit, once I kind of submit everything, but you can kind of count on it being around there. Pension fund, so this is a big one. This has decreased by about half this year, so usually last year was about 70-some thousand. This year, or sorry, 27, budgeting 34,000, and that is because our final payment of the pension is coming up. So, and that'll be in 2027, and that'll be right there at the beginning in January. So
That's the amount of 34?
yeah, rough is like 33 and some change. So round number 34,000. Yep. So that goes down, and so you're going to see here in a little bit how the effects that does. So that affects then the tax rates because I can't budget 70,000 when we're not spending 70,000. We only have one payment, so it's going to lower the tax rate on the pension fund. Debt rate stays the same.
Where does we're funding the pension fund,
Mm-hmm.
so we're not gonna fund it. What happens to the pensions, if you will? How are they getting funded? Do they just go away, or, I assume they don't?
No, they don't go away.
Does a union have?
Just like an escrow or something account?
Right, this is, and that's what we have to kind of look at and get ready for this. So we got, several months, but this was part of that buyout.
Oh, okay.
So
So-
you were
Oh,
here.
this was a negotiated thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
you were
okay,
here
so
when that happened.
See, I had the same question Sonny did actually on that, so, yeah, we, back around the time before, while we were trying to prevent the middle school's initial closing in the 2012 to 2016 era, but we offered, the school system at that time offered a retirement incentive and netted about 9 or 10 retirements.
Okay.
All in one year. So that's what that pension fund is for. So but the pensions themselves, that's
That's not gonna affect.
down to DOE.
Yeah.
That's the Indiana Pension Retirement System.
Yeah, that's what every
Yeah.
teacher.
So this pension fund is that local debt that they did 10, 12, 14 years ago to get top level paid teachers an incentive to retire and replace
So
them.
this was more like a buyout?
Yeah, this was a
Not a true
local,
pension thing?
yes,
Yeah.
this was a local decision that then needed to be funded going forward.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the pensions, like,
Yeah,
if you hear us say,
or whatever.
yeah,
you hear us say like 401A or 403B, those are 401As, those are teacher pensions, those are the retirements, that's what is down at the state, and so that stuff continues to stay, because we're continuing to pay into that, teachers are paying, so like, all of that stuff's fine, doesn't go away, it's gonna stay, this is, pension fund is part of that buyout,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. And then that cost for that pension cost, that's in the educational fund
No, that is,
For-
it's its own fund, pension, it is.
for the current teachers?
Yeah,
No, not
the
this one.
current one, that's in education, yeah.
Okay, that's what I.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the
Yes.
education fund.
Okay.
Okay, and so then rainy day fund, the rainy day fund is for exactly what it sounds like, rainy day for something that comes up, that you don't wanna use education or operations funds for to kind of deplete or, blow up the budget per se. In my time here, we've spent out of the rainy day fund one time, and not because it would have hurt the education budget, because it was one of those one-off payments that we needed to make to close things out that was better suited to come out of the rainy day fund. But, so balance of it is currently 432,684. We don't plan, again, we don't ever plan on expending out of it, so we don't plan on spending out of it in the 2026 year. And so what I need to do every year is request Stark County Council to approve basically a rainy day appropriation reduction. So it takes it to zero, and then that allows me to reappropriate that same amount for the 2027 budget. Now, if by chance need to spend out of it, then that process changes a little bit, so. But for the most part, and for the 6 years I've done this, is that it stays that.
I didn't follow that. Go back through your appropriations, take it down to zero, and then.
It's called a rainy day
I understand.
appropriation reduction, you take it to zero,
So,
like we spent it all. Because that 432 is our cash balance.
okay, that's sitting in the bank.
That's the cash balance that's sitting in rainy day. It's not, rainy day's not getting funded unless we're moving money into it. We moved money into it years ago, and that's the cash balance sitting in it. So it has to look like
On paper, it
On
goes to
paper,
zero,
that it's
and you're
zero,
refunding it every year.
and so then you're refunding to rebudget the same amount.
Paperwork exercise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
If we were bankers, it would make sense. It confuses me too.
And I get two thoughts then. Obviously, the rainy day fund is something you don't anticipate.
No,
So you made the comment, we don't anticipate spending it. Well, unless you know the future, I'd like to know some stock picks.
Right.
But if that's the case, then the second question is, do you think that's a fair number based upon increases and so on of everything else going on?
And that's to Cameron's point right at the beginning, is that we've talked, and it's probably been the whole time you've been here, going on 3 or 4 years now, do we need to put money into that? Should we increase that amount? And the answer is yes, we should put some more money into that. When is the right time is the better question, because probably the better amount to have in rainy day is probably closer to $1 million, if not $1 million, because it allows you to operate salary-wise if something happened for a couple months. Catastrophic event, something happens here, we can pay staff and teachers for another, that would probably come out to about 3 months would be safe, we could probably push that out to 4. We could pay, so we could almost make a semester with about $1 million. But when to do that is the better question. Because with so many things going on at the state, we're cash balance healthy right now. You just hate to move money from operations to put in rainy day and then need to just turn around and spend it out of operation, or rainy day.
Yeah, I'm with him. I've told him since we've been here, it'd be nice to see $1 million sitting there in rainy day and get it to that. But it's kind of the volatility that we've been dealing with for 3 years, 4 years. Prices just kind of all over the board, and so we've just kind of left the money sit in the education fund, the operations fund, because we're just in so much flux. That's the only reason we haven't pulled the trigger on moving some more money back into the rainy day fund.
Mm-hmm.
And with, like we said, all of that money is sitting in the same account at the bank, earning the same interest.
Yeah.
So.
And you can think about it this way too, if do paperwork to make the budget, new appropriations, because I gotta change things. So.
But you can move from rainy day into
Operation.
education fund or operation fund, correct?
You mean moving from rainy day
Into either of those two
into
funds?
the other two? I gotta look at this, stipulations and everything on that, because it's not as easy as doing our education operations fund transfer.
It might just be more.
Yeah, it's not more,
Steps, a little
it's
clunky.
more steps, it's not like it's more red tape, but it's just more steps and more paperwork again, like we mentioned.
So just a question, so should we maybe look then towards the end of like our budget, like our fiscal cycle, and look at our cash balance and just maybe throw, over the course of 5 years, throw $100,000 in it at the end of every year? If we have that budget cycle, so then that way because if we keep talking about it, this is the only thing that worries me is we keep talking about, hey, we should.
Great, so this is kind of what I mentioned before. The next slide is kind of history, but for the 2027 budget, kind of proposing and advertising the following tax rates above. So operations fund, 0.6628, debt, 0.3284, and the pension fund, 0.0080. Ultimately, this is what I advertise. I advertise the max. But ultimately, the DLGF approves and adopts the actual tax rates, and you'll see how they always change. Well, the budget, so like operations, you can see that I advertised in 26.6404,
Right,
and this year I'm advertising 0.6628 and increased the budget 250,000. So it went up just a little bit.
I understand that. I guess my question is, in 26, if 0.64 was calculated to.
A little bit above that, usually are, again, because we gotta float and pay for stuff, so.
So do you know what the minimum adopted number could be
Minimum adopted,
that we could live with?
that we could live with on a tax rate,
Yeah,
I mean, you're in the 0.4s that we could live with,
Okay.
I'd rather not.
well, I just,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's why you can see, and I know it's hard to see up there, your trend, your trend on what they during budget season. It's always later. And so I don't get the accurate net assessed value until December. So I have to do my own equation, which is 85% is what they tell you down at DLGF, 85% of last year's net assessed value. So, but you can see in 26 at 498, it's probably gonna be over 5 in 2027. So, and that is what drives on all these other numbers I'm putting in, it spits out 0.66.
Yeah, they got their own calculating spreadsheet.
They calculate it,
5.8 or whatever.
yeah, cause then they know what they're calculating then, cause they know what the true net assessed value is by the time they're calculating it, so. It's a very convoluted.
Or, yes, it is. The gateway system, the schools and all the municipalities,
Yeah,
all the
Use the same
budgets,
system?
all the
Yeah.
budgets are going up through that same system.
Okay.
Uploaded it through the state.
It's really, I mean, between 25 and 26, we only went up, what, 16,000?
Yeah, we-
14,000?
we didn't go up much, 25, 26, I mean, your biggest jumps were 22 to 23, and then really 24 to 25. I mean, we went up a good amount from 23 to 24, but your biggest jumps were from 22 to 25. And you're probably gonna see that trend now too, it kind of tapering off, but we're still so high on net assessed value that it doesn't matter, it's just driving everything down tax rate wise. So, it doesn't really matter what I set budget's at, when it's that high. So, but that's kind of the history, that's kind of why you see what you see on tax rates and why kind of schools are different, even though we have same debt funds, pension funds, whatever, operation funds, because we may have same size schools, same student count, it's all based off net assessed value, so. Last thing really I have here is budget meeting dates. And these are just the important ones up on screen and what's on your paper. You also have a full budget calendar, kind of gives you an overview of rundown of everything. But August 17th, public hearing at the county council, and the 18th is our meeting. That's where we'll adopt the capital projects, bus replacement plans. There's a couple other resolutions there for you guys to adopt. And then September 14th, the county council will adopt and approve our budget and that rainy day reduction resolution. They have to do that as well. To people that this is the capital projects plan. So I'll post that on the website. There's another spot on Gateway that I'll post it, but that's just what you're approving tonight, is posting it for advertising.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, approval to post the bus replacement plan. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
So, can I get a second? Thank you. writing down stuff. Is our